Bad is it inside this federal lockup? There have been 2 murders, 4 suicides, and numerous stabbings and lockdowns in recent years. It's so out of control inside that 4 federal judges are reportedly refusing to send any more prisoners here. Donald Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen, spent a harrowing year in federal custody. He says for someone used to a life of luxury like Diddy, prison life is a severe shock.
You have a desk, you have a plastic chair, you have your bed with a 1.5-inch mattress, no pillow, and you also have a locker.
Diddy thought he was untouchable. Billion-dollar empire, private jets, and mansions. But now, he's just another inmate, trapped in one of the most violent prisons in America. And if you think he's getting VIP treatment, think again. Inside these walls, he's a walking target. The luxury is gone, the power is gone, and the fear, it's real.
That P. Diddy's on suicide watch tonight. Do your sources confer the same information? Are they saying it was possible?
Hey, real quickly, all that commissary stuff, he's not getting any of that because people in the SHU have an abbreviated list. So he's out of luck. No stake for him. Yeah, he is on suicide watch. This guy thought he would have went home. All of a sudden, he didn't get bond. Remember, the first night that he was there, he was like an overnight guest. When they told his bond.
A former prison guard has just come forward with shocking inside details about what's happening to Diddy behind bars. And it's worse than anyone imagined. From constant threats, brutal attacks, and a mental breakdown that had him begging guards for help. This is Diddy's new reality. And it's only getting darker.
Hearing now they checked him into the system, and reality has hit him. And I understand that he has a shrink coming by his cell to see him several times a day. And now there's talk about putting him in, it's like a bubble. It's like a cell that has like a plexiglass wall in it where they have inmates watching you. That's actually their job.
Prison isn't just about surviving the brutal conditions, it's about power. And the second Diddy walked through those steel doors, the hierarchy shifted. According to prison insiders, Diddy has been targeted by multiple factions. Some want to exploit his money, while others see him as a threat. But the most dangerous, inmates, they just want to make an example out of him.
Diddy has made several bids for bail, hoping to get back to one of those homes or an apartment on New York's Upper East Side. Just last month, Diddy's team officially put in its 3rd attempt for his release, asking that he be put on house arrest. The defense originally wanted Diddy to be held on house arrest at his Star Island mansion in Miami, Florida, one of the places that was actually raided way back in March. But Judge Arun Subramanian shot that down pretty quickly, and it was decided if Diddy was granted bail.
One ex-inmate who served time in MDC Brooklyn explains how high-profile inmates like Diddy get trapped in a power game. It's not about who you were on the outside. In here, you gotta pick a side or you're getting crushed. And right now, Diddy is alone.
This isn't the first time Diddy's mental health has come into question while he's been at MDC. When he first arrived, he was on suicide watch, which the U.S. Department of Justice National Institute of Corrections describes as supervisory precautions taken for suicidal inmates that require frequent observation. Diddy's suicide watch was only temporary, though.
Sources say he's been approached by different prison gangs, each offering him protection for a steep price. But Diddy, he refuses to bow down. And that's making things even worse. An insider reveals the gangs don't like rejection. If you don't align with them, you become a target. And Diddy, he's made a lot of enemies fast. And just days after arriving, he learned that lesson the hard way.
So we're turning now to former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani to talk all things Diddy. Nima, thank you so much for coming on with us today.
Of course, Sierra. Thanks for having me, as always.
Now, some of the reports are that P. Diddy had a breakdown or meltdown over the holidays when he is still at MDC behind bars. What do you make of those reports? Could he have had this meltdown?
I believe the report.
Prison guards report that Diddy's first real wake-up call came during mealtime. He was standing in line, holding his food tray, when another inmate accidentally shoved him. Diddy, used to being the one in control, shoved back. Big mistake. The inmate, a known enforcer for one of the prison's most feared gangs, grabbed Diddy by the collar and whispered something that made the rapper go pale. "You're in my house now, boy."
Someone who's rich and famous and has lived a life of luxury for many years, and now he's in federal prison during the holidays. So this isn't someone who's a hardened criminal who has spent a lot of time in custody. So the fact that he's spending Christmas and New Year's and future holidays in prison is probably finally getting to him. So I'm not surprised that he cracked.
Guards had to step in before it escalated. But the message was clear: Diddy is not safe. Since that moment, sources say he's been keeping his head down, trying to avoid direct confrontations. But that's easier said than done in a place like MDC. The violence, the threats, the fear, it's taking a toll. Diddy's mental state has...
You're right, it's definitely a change of tune from his lavish mansions and the holiday season to what he's experiencing right now. As far as the mental health side of things, I remember when Diddy was first arrested, he was put on suicide watch. So obviously keeping tabs on his mental health. Here in this instance, he apparently was asking for the guards to take him to the hospital so he could be treated there. Is this something that we're going to keep an eye on, Diddy's mental health behind bars?
I think so. And obviously, we haven't seen him, but your colleague Elizabeth has reported that, he looks like he's lost some weight.
Been deteriorating fast. According to multiple sources, he stopped eating for days after his latest legal setback. His third bail attempt was denied, and the realization that he's not getting out anytime soon has completely broken him. One of his former bodyguards, who remains in contact with his legal team, revealed he thought his...
This morning, withdrawing from the case. Anthony Rico filed these documents and said that he can no longer effectively, that's a quote, can no longer effectively represent Diddy. He said, under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel for Sean Combs, consistent with the ABA standards for criminal justice.
Obviously pretty shocking with, his trial approaching just a few months away, but obviously it's not his lead counsel, but we're told, we spoke to some people that are familiar with the case, and essentially the reason why he bailed was that he just had no relationship with Diddy and just felt like he wasn't close enough to him to effectively defend him in this case.
Money would buy him an easy way out, but now he knows he's stuck, and he's not handling it well. Insiders claim Diddy has begged guards to move him to a safer facility, arguing that he's at immediate risk. But prison officials, they don't care, and the guards are talking. A former MDC officer who once worked inside the prison stated, Diddy isn't special in here, he's just another inmate. If he complains, he gets shut down. If he cries for help, no one's coming. That's prison life. And the bad news doesn't stop there. While Diddy is fighting to survive behind bars, his empire is crumbling. Reports are emerging that former associates, close friends, and even some family members are distancing themselves from him. Some are cooperating with authorities in the ongoing investigations.
Is very, very important. We were waiting for that. We were preparing to do a full sidebar episode on that enterprise letter, because an enterprise letter is filed by the government in RICO cases that more specifically lays out the exact allegations in the racketeering criminal enterprise charge, what evidence the government seeks to introduce to prove that, the specific underlying acts or events that make up that racketeering conspiracy charge. So we were prepared to do it. Unfortunately, we never saw it. Why? Because it appears that the letter was filed under seal based on the court docket. In other words, we, the public, can't see it. It's for the prosecution and the defense to know. That is probably for privacy, safety, and integrity of the judicial proceedings reasons, right? This was probably to ensure that details about the alleged crimes and potential alleged victims and witnesses' identity.
One former business partner allegedly told investigators, "We all knew things were bad behind the scenes, but no one ever thought it would come crashing down like this." Diddy's legal team is falling apart. One of his top attorneys, Anthony Rico, just quit the case.
Is it crucial in these complaints to have a specified time frame of when this allegedly happened?
I think when you get to a jury, it is going to matter. Obviously, we're talking about allegations now that are more than 25 years old. And to the extent that these cases go to trial, I'm not saying they're all going to go to trial. Maybe they'll settle, but jurors are going to want some more specificity, and they're going to want to know why it took 25 years to report. Because the defense is going to argue that this was all fabricated, this was a money grab, they're just piling on. So you really want to kind of go back in time and say, well, look, I told a friend, I told a family member, and they can come corroborate my account of what happened, as opposed to her being the 100th person who's filed a civil lawsuit by the same lawyer, it can be somewhat challenging when the report doesn't happen until many years later. Now, I understand the psychology of an abuse victim.